United Arab Emirates. Ferdinand is a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic program, NLP, and emotional intelligence, with a strong focus on helping individuals and organizations harness emotional awareness, self-regulation, and relationship management as critical drivers of career growth, leadership acceleration, and personal effectiveness. His approach integrates technical skills with emotional intelligence, engage more effectively, build trusts, and influence outcomes in complex business environments. He is a certified negotiator and trainer, a fellow of the Institute of Certified Sales Professionals, and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development. Ferdinand serves on the faculty of Tekedia Institute, USA, and has been invited on several occasions by Lagos Business School to facilitate executive level sessions. He is the author of 6 best-selling books, including The Critical Pillars of Using Anger Productively, The Critical Pillars of Making Quality Contacts and Connections, The Critical Pillars of Achieving Excellence in Life, Business, and Career, and The Critical Pillars of Sales Excellence. His other works include XYZ of Business and Social Networking, The Critical Pillars of Making High-Impact Sales Presentation, and The Critical Pillars of Target-Rich Prospecting. Ferdinand, coach and performance improvement expert. He has empowered thousands of professionals across diverse sectors to enhance their personal effectiveness, sales capability, and leadership impact. His expertise is sought by financial institutions, insurance companies, telecommunication firms, energy companies, and government agencies, where he delivers tailored competency development and process engineering interventions. He is the president of Rice Selection Limited and the managing director, CEO of Selling Skills Support Services Limited, with operational offices in Nigeria and the United Kingdom. He previously served as the managing director, CEO of iScale Limited, as the pioneer managing director of FM Marketing Network Limited. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to hand over the microphone to no other person than Mr. Ferdinand Ibezim to speak to us on emotional intelligence for today's professional accountant. Over to you, sir. Your audio, sir, you are not audible. I heard you a while ago, you are still not audible, sir. I still hear you, I can't hear you. Can you hear him?
No, sir.
Fumi?
No, sir, I can't.
Okay. He needs to work on his audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Excellent. You are good to go now, sir.
Okay, my apologies. I don't know what happened. So I'd like to thank you very much for that introduction, and particularly thank Dr. Jones and Fumilola for providing me with this platform. I'm sure you all know that emotional intelligence is a very, very, very broad topic. We can discuss emotional intelligence for 30 days, 8 hours of the day, and we still can't scratch the surface of that very broad topic. And so I have 30 minutes and I have about 15 minutes to take your questions. So what I'll do, therefore, is to provide you with the right framework that would begin to help you to interrogate what your thoughts are already about emotional intelligence and how this very important skill and attitude would impact your success in life, both as a professional and, more importantly, as a human being. Okay, so even though the topic says emotional intelligence for accountants, it's emotional intelligence is not a mindset, it's not an attitude, it's not a skill that is boxed into a profession. So you don't have emotional intelligence for accountants, and then you have emotional intelligence for salespeople or for doctors. But once you acquire emotional intelligence, it's something you can apply across every aspect of your life. I'll be sharing the slides with Fumilola, and I hope she will share them with you because we're just going to discuss frameworks and not the content that is required for you to understand this very important topic. So my name is Ferdinand Ibezim. I've written extensively and researched extensively in the area of emotional intelligence. But I want to start by asking you a question. That question is, if you were to use one word to describe life in Nigeria today, just one word, what one word would you use to describe life in Nigeria today? Anybody? You can type, go to the chat room and share your thoughts, or you can raise your hand and share with me what one word would you use to describe living in Nigeria today? So I'm seeing stressful, I'm seeing tough, I'm seeing chaotic, I'm seeing challenging, I'm seeing exhaustive, I'm seeing pressure, I'm seeing uncertainty, I'm seeing frustration, I'm seeing pressure again. Now, those are very apt words that describe living in Nigeria today. But I'm just going to pick one of the words that I've seen used repeatedly in the chat room, and that is pressure. Okay, so when you say pressure, the next thing I'd like to ask you is, where do these pressures come from? Where do these pressures come from? You can again type it out in. So family, yes, I'm seeing family, I'm seeing work, I'm seeing bills. Yeah, what else? Expectations, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the next question is, what do these pressures produce? What do they produce? So pressure from government, from bills, from government, from work, from family. What do they produce? So I'm seeing stress. I'm seeing fear of unknown. Yes. What else do they produce? I'm seeing anger, frustration, uncertainty. Okay, awesome. Now the next question is, where does it hit you first? So you have pressure produced from work, from government, from family, from the environment. And now my question is, so yeah, it produces anger, frustration, despair, all of that. The next question is, where does it hit you first? Your mental health. I'm saying mental health. Yes. What else? Where does it hit you? Your emotion. I'm saying emotion. Okay. So let's use that word emotion. So if the first place that pressure hits you is your emotion, It therefore means that your IQ may not be sufficient for you to address the issues that speak to your emotion. Now, IQ is very important. I'm sure we know what IQ is. It's a measure of your intelligence. It's a measure of your aptitude. So when you wrote common entrance while you were in primary school to gain admission to secondary school, what was tested was your IQ. When you wrote JAMB and WAEC and NECO to gain admission to university, what was tested was your IQ. In trying to make a first class or second class in university, what was primarily tested was your IQ. What was tested when you wrote ICAN is IQ. When you wrote your first aptitude test and you were shortlisted for that first job of yours, when you were invited for the interview, the primary thing, 90% of the things that were being tested spoke to your intelligence, your IQ. And your first, second level promotions, most times in the work environment, are all measures of your competence, your knowledge, and your skills. And those essentially speak to your IQ. But now, when you start work, when you begin to live in a country like Nigeria, and perhaps across the world, and presently in the UK, and it's not peculiar to Nigeria. Yesterday, in the city where I am in the UK, somebody jumped from the bridge into and died. So the pressures that you live are not things that can be addressed with your first class in university. They're not things that can be addressed with your being the best accountant. They're important, but after a while, most of the things that you'd encounter in life will speak to your emotion. And it therefore means that the intelligence that you require to address those issues will be beyond your intelligent quotient. It will be about your emotional quotient. And let me share something with you. You see, the things that you mentioned, anger, frustration, stress, suicide, hopelessness, that you said speak to your emotion, they don't start with your emotion. They start with what we call triggers. Those triggers can either be in word or in action. Let me give you an example. You submit a report that you think is an excellent report to your manager, to your boss. And he says to you, who wrote this report? And you say, me, sir. And he says you're an idiot. You are just a recruitment error. How did they bring you here? Now, that's a trigger. That's a trigger. It's an action. It will cause you pain. Now, that pain is not what will determine what you will do. The trigger can also be a physical action. So if I slap you, it will cause you pain. If a motorway driver hits your brand new car from the back, it will cause you pain. If you tell your wife you're coming back early and I'm very hungry, I'm coming with my friends, please cook for me, and you get home and the food is not ready, it will cause you pain. But what you will do on account of that pain, it's not because of the trigger. That pain would hit your emotion, hit your mind, hit your thoughts. How you process that emotion, how you interpret the trigger and the pain are the things that would determine the actions that you take, whether you react or you respond. And the reaction and the response have consequences. So, what is emotion, therefore? Emotion is your interpretation of the triggers and pains that you experience in everyday life that will be responsible for how you either react or respond, that would therefore impact on the quality of the life that you live. So let me break that down for you. Let's go back to our example with your boss. Your boss calls a report that you've taken so much time to research and produce terrible, and calls you useless, calls you a recruitment error. It causes you pain, an emotional pain. Now, if you interpret that his word as a challenge for you to improve, even in the midst of the pain caused by those words, and you say, this is a challenge for me to become the best report writer in this company, what would you do? You will, despite his unprofessional feedback to you, go and evaluate that report to identify the things that made him use those words on you. And in subsequent reports, you would ensure that those mistakes are not repeated. And if you constantly do that, you become the best report writer that can impact your career, not just in that company, but for the rest of your life. However, if in the midst of the pain caused by that trigger, that feedback, you begin to interpret it as, this man is arrogant, doesn't know who I am, he doesn't like me here, he wants to frustrate me here, what would you do? You leave that place with your pride and ego influencing the action that you take. And that's why some people would go and either send in their resignation letters even when they are not ready. You know why? Because their emotion has beclouded their judgment. At that point in time, you're first class in the university. You're being the best chartered accountant. Your MBA, your PhD would have no impact in the choice that you make and the consequences therefrom. It will be your emotion and how you interpret the triggers and the things that speak to your emotion that will determine what you do. So, there are two things therefore involved in living in the world, but more especially living in Nigeria. They are how you think, which is what is aided by your IQ. The other is how you think under pressure, which is what your emotional intelligence would help you to do. So pressure reveals what you do, and what you do is a function of your EQ. So when two people face pressure and they respond to those pressures differently, it's a measure of their EQ. Because most times, the actions that we take are not rational actions. Even how we spend our money, most times are driven by emotion, not by rationality. That's why every new phone that is sold, you buy. There are no new functions in the new phone that you buy, but you still buy. Why? Emotion. Your friend calls you a monkey, you laugh. Another person calls you a monkey, you get angry. Why? The same word, monkey. Why did you laugh when your friend called you a monkey? Because your emotion told you it was a joke. It was humor. That's why you laughed. Another person calls you a monkey, you think it's an insult. What has happened? Your emotion has set in. So what's emotional intelligence therefore? Emotional intelligence is simply your ability to understand, regulate, and control your emotion, whilst also being able to control the impact of other people's emotion on you. So meaning that there are two dimensions to emotional intelligence. The first dimension is what we'll call your intrapersonal relationship with yourself, which is your ability to understand your emotions, regulate those emotions, and control the actions that you take based on your emotions. That's 1A. 1B is your ability to also understand and control the impact of other people's emotions that you can't control on you. How do I mean? So the first part is, I'm not going to raise my voice today. Whatever the molder driver does on the street, whatever my boss says to me today, I will control myself. Yeah, that's one aspect. The other aspect is, I don't know the emotional state of that Okada rider. So when he hits my car and it causes me emotional pain, My ability to control the impact of another person's emotion on me. I don't know what my boss is calling my report, a terrible report. I don't know what he has gone through. So while I'm going to control how I respond to his negative feedback on my report, it's also important that I make sure that I don't allow his own emotional situation to impact the quality of my own life. And that's where most of us miss it. The primary predicament is that we don't understand our emotion. The other bigger predicament is that we want to allow other people's emotion to impact us. So somebody is angry and calls you a monkey. Your mind does not say to you, am I a monkey? If I'm not a monkey, then the person calling me a monkey needs help. And you don't get angry to somebody who needs help. But when you allow being called a monkey to impact your emotion, you will jump up and call that person a monkey also, and you start fighting. So emotional intelligence, therefore, has two dimensions, like I've mentioned in passing. The first dimension is your intrapersonal relationship with yourself. And that has two components. The first component is self-awareness. Understanding yourself, but more importantly, understanding your emotional self. When you get home and you had pre-informed your wife to get your food ready, and you get home and the food is not ready, self-awareness is, why am I angry and what am I angry about? Am I angry that my food is not ready? Or am I angry that my wife is taking me for granted? Now, understanding that why would impact how you either react or respond. Because you've severally gone to a restaurant and food was delayed by 30 minutes, 1 hour. What did you do? You ordered another bottle of beer and you waited for the food to be served and you still tipped that waitress. You didn't raise your voice at her. You didn't slap her. So you get home and your wife delays your food by just 7 minutes and you raise your voice and you refuse to eat the food and you don't speak to her for the next 30 days. But what happened when you went to the restaurant? So the question is, why am I angry now? And what am I angry about? Now, why is important in self-awareness? Why am I broke? It's an important question when you're passing through emotional crisis caused by your financial state. But more important question is, what has made me broke? Because once you understand the what, you'll be amazed at how the things that upset us are things we should be lacking about. Let me give you another example. On your son's 7th birthday, you buy your son football to celebrate his 7th birthday. He calls you daddy, jumps on you, you're happy. You don't instruct him that he should not play this football in the parlor. 2 days after, Bayern and PSG are playing UEFA Champions quarterfinals, semifinals. And you drive home, and you get home, you want to watch that football match. And you open the door, everybody's sullen, everybody's withdrawn. You're wondering, why is the house like this? And you look at your console, your brand new TV had been broken. And you raise, what happened? Your wife says to you, oh, Junior just broke the TV with the ball you bought for him. And you get upset, which you have a right to. Emotional intelligence is, why am I angry? Am I angry at the boy, or am I angry at the broken TV? And what is making me angry? Is it the boy, the TV, or the football match? If it's the football match, would spanking this boy, beating this boy, shouting at my wife for not controlling the boy make me watch this ball? If this answer is no, what do I need to do to address the most important reason making me angry now? Go to my neighbor's house and watch this TV. Use my phone to watch this TV. Now, what have you now done? You're looking at solution. Am I saying don't spank that boy? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying understanding the why and the what of your emotional response would regulate the actions that you take in that state. Now, it is that self-awareness that will lead you to self-management. Let me give one more example. Some of us grew up in an environment where our mother acquiesced to our fathers. So everything the father said, the mother did. We lived in an environment where our fathers beat up our mothers. And so we grew up with that history that it's okay to beat my wife. It's okay for my husband to beat me. Now, if you're not careful, if you're the kind of woman that grew up in that kind of circumstance, if you don't understand the history behind the actions that you take, that's why you find some women accepting the fact that their husband should beat them. At the other extreme is why some people would ask for a divorce for every misunderstanding that they have with their husband, because in their mind, they don't want to live the kind of life that their mothers lived. So the other extreme is they feel it's okay to live the kind of life that their mothers lived. But self-awareness is, why am I tolerating this kind of abuse? And what is the worst that would happen in this circumstance? And what should I do to address that issue? Now, those are the things that pass through your mind, so you can understand why you're getting angry or why you're living with that situation. The second aspect is on the basis of your understanding of the why and the what. Is how do I now manage myself? So the second component of emotional intelligence is now self-management. After understanding yourself, the next thing is, based on my understanding of myself, how do I now manage my emotions? While self-awareness addresses the issue of the triggers of my anger, the triggers of my emotion, and the impact of those triggers in the action that I will take. Self-management is my ability to now regulate the action that I will take, regulate my impulses, regulate the animalistic tendencies that is now found in many people around us in Nigeria. What are those animalistic tendencies? An Okada rider brushes your car. You come out and see the small dent on your car, and you block the whole Third Mainland Bridge. At that point in time, you're not asking yourself, what is making me angry? Why am I angry? And what is making me want to act the way I'm acting now? If I block Third Mainland Bridge and stop every other person from passing through that road, has that addressed the issue of the scratched car? So self-management is when you understand the why and the what, you will now regulate the actions that you take consciously. That's when you now allow your IQ, your rationality, to now begin to help you to decide on the actions that you take. Otherwise, your emotion, if it's not matured, would cause you to take the wrong actions. I'm going to come back to this. Now, the other aspect of emotional intelligence is now your interpersonal relationship with people. Now, remember how I defined emotional intelligence? It's your ability to understand yourself, control your emotions, whilst also being able to understand and control the impact of other people's emotions on you. Now, the interpersonal aspect of emotional intelligence speaks to your relationship with other people, interpersonal relationship. And the first component of that domain is social awareness. Now, social awareness is your ability to understand the why and the what of other people's actions. And this is where it begins to get interesting. I always say to people that the Okada rider has a right to behave like an Okada rider. You don't have a right to behave like an Okada rider. Your boss has a right to shout. Whether he's right or wrong is immaterial. Social awareness is the understanding that there might be reasons beyond people that cause them to act the way they act. So when I say that the Okada rider or the motorway driver has a right to be rough on the road, has a right to take one way, you don't have that right. Why? The motorway driver has taken paraga, he has taken shekwe, he has taken a bottle of hot drink before he started riding that day. You did not. The motorway driver, the downfall driver, did not go to university. You're a chartered accountant. The downfall driver has to do 10 trips to be able to make enough money to return to the owner of the vehicle and have something to take home to the family. You are driving home to go and sleep. So if the motorway driver, if the downfall driver, if the Okada driver behaves like an Okada driver, why do you, with your first class, with your ICAN, with your FCA, with everything that you have, behave like that Okada rider? Your 7-year-old child has a right to break your TV with the ball you bought for him on his 7th birthday. You don't have the right to bring yourself to the level where your reaction to that 7-year boy's action is almost equal to his own action. So I jokingly always say that your wife has a right to nag, just as your dog has a right to bark. You don't have a right to be angry that your dog barks. You don't have to be angry that your wife nags. So social awareness is understanding that people act in the way they act because of their circumstance and their history. And you must factor their circumstance and their history into how you respond to them. So if you're a managing director of a company and you employ a school start holder, or you employ somebody fresh out of youth service, do you expect that person fresh out of youth service to be as competent as you are when it has taken you 30 years, taking you ICAN, taking you PhD, taking you being managing director to be as competent as you are? If you expect that level of competence from that new employee, then you're wicked. So social awareness is the realization of the fact that an entry-level graduate has a right to make mistakes, which you should not make. Because if you expect that person to behave at the level or to function at your own level, then the person should be earning what you're earning and enjoying the privileges that you're enjoying as managing director. That's social awareness. The absence of social awareness is why you find somebody driving a brand new car, their car, and remove their jacket and start fighting an Okada rider. Social awareness is when the Okada rider hits your car, you come out and see the dented car. It causes you pain. Emotional intelligence says to you, would you rather be the Okada rider or be the owner of the brand new car that Okada has scratched? Which would you prefer? Do you think that the Okada rider is happy riding the Okada? Your house help has a right to behave like a house help. You don't have a right to give her the kind of feedback you're giving her, making her think that she ought to have owned or ought to have earned a PhD before being a house help. You brought her from the village. So why do you expect her to be like a city girl? That's social awareness. So the combination of your understanding of yourself, your self-awareness, the asking of the why and the what questions, and your regulation of your emotion, and understanding of other people's circumstances that also causes their own emotional outburst and the actions that they take is what will culminate in effective relationship between you and yourself and you and other people. And that essentially is what emotional intelligence is all about. So let's break this down before I take your questions. Emotional intelligence is how you think and act under pressure, because pressure is inevitable. Now, pressure is caused by living. The fact that you're alive means that you face pressure. The pressure will be made manifest in so many ways. Suicide is a function of pressure not properly handled. Frustration is a result of pressure not well handled. Most divorces, most resignations when you're not ready, most broken relationships, the crowd that you find in our churches without any equal religiosity is a result of pressure not well handled. So the absence of emotional intelligence is why we are transferring our pressure to other things, whether anger or alcohol or suicide or going to church or going to mosque. It means, therefore, that the first key thing in emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Trying to understand ourselves. When somebody says to you, do you know who I am? That question is not really asking you, do you know who I am? What they're asking you is, do you know what I am? Do you know I can call the general to arrest you now? Do you know I can sack you? Do you know I am your boss? But emotional intelligence says to you that who you are is not a function of what you are. Who you are is what you become when what you have or what you are have been taken away from you. Have you noticed that most bosses in the work environment who scream, do you know who I am at you at work, that once they leave that place, when they come back to that office, they are humbler than they were when they were asking you, do you know who I am? Because now what they are, which triggered the question, do you know who I am, has been taken away from them. So who are you? You are what you become when your title, your brand new car, your brand new house have been taken away from you. So emotional intelligence starts from understanding who you are beyond the titles, beyond the title husband, beyond the title wife, beyond the title brand new car owner, beyond the title chartered accountant. Who are you? The absence of that understanding is why pride and ego overwhelm us. And those are the two worst emotions that you can manifest, pride and ego. So somebody calls you a monkey that you can laugh at. Pride and ego says an insult, and you slap that person. Self-regulation, which is called self-management, is the realization that I can behave better than I'm behaving now based on who I am and not what I am. That I don't have to raise my voice to make a point. I don't have to make noise to make news. I don't have to slap the Okada rider to show that I drive a brand new car. I don't need to buy every brand new phone to show that I'm doing well. I don't need to change the TV in my house just because my salary has been increased. I don't have to go and start buying a brand new wig because I have to go to a party that I won't spend more than 3 hours in. That's self-management. But it starts from understanding that who you are is beyond how you appear. I don't have to shout at my colleagues in the office to prove I am the boss. Because who I am is not a function of the title I bear in the office. That's self-management. But it is further helped by trying to understand people's circumstances. And the fact that I wrote an article not too long ago on a journal, and it was an article on the place of chance, luck, and surprise. The things that we pride ourselves about most times are circumstantial things. If you were born in Maiduguri, the things that you believe now, the way you dress, your thoughts would have been different. But there was no place where you wrote an entrance exam and passed, and then they moved you to a womb of a millionaire. And the people that did not pass were moved to the womb of paupers. So most of the things that we are proud about are circumstantial things. So I keep using Danfo drivers and Okada riders because they're the people that we despise the most. But do you think that somebody chose from the day he was born, going to be an Okada rider? If that person had the privilege and opportunities that you have, you probably would have been much more better than you are today. And that's social awareness. The last thing I want to say is about resilience. Now, we talked about pressure from family, pressure from the economy, pressure from work, pressure from mother-in-laws and father outlaws. Now, all of those things would either weigh us down or add weight to our emotional muscles that will help us thrive. And that's where resilience is very important in emotional intelligence. The key aspect of resilience as it speaks to living in Nigeria is adaptability. Your ability to adapt to changing situations without allowing them weigh you down. When you lose your job, it will cause you pain. Adaptability is the realization that this job has been lost. What do I need to do under that circumstance? You send in your audit report to a client. He practically shreds it in your presence and says to you, if you can't handle this job, let me know. I'll send you somewhere else. Adaptability is, this man is not happy with this report. What do I need to do? That's resilience. The absence of resilience is laziness. And the easiest way to manifest laziness is alcohol, is suicide, is religion without religiosity. I'll end with two stories. Two young men are seated inside the Molue bus. The Molue bus is overcrowded. People are carrying all manner of stuff inside that Molue bus. It's raining, and the roof of the Molue bus is leaking, and both of them are sitting beside each other. So water is dripping on them. Heavy inconvenience, heavy discomfort. The first young person asks himself, what do I need to do to break out of this poverty? Buy myself a car and even employ a driver and enjoy myself in this city? And the answers begin to come to him. Go back to school, get a better job, save money, start a business, use your mother for rituals, go into kidnapping, go into armed robbery. And he chooses what he wants to do. The second young person, under the same circumstance, is also asking himself questions. But what was he asking? Why am I poor? Now who did do me? Why is life so hard on me? What answers would he get? Your mother is a winch. Is that house you're living in? It's because you dreamt yesterday while you were swimming in your dream. Now, which of these two young boys do you think is likely to do well in life? The obvious answer is the first young person. Why? He asked, what do I need to do to break out of this poverty? Second person asked, why am I poor? It's called framing. And framing is an emotional regulator. When you ask, what do I need to do? Responsibility is transferred to you. What do I need to do to improve the relationship with my husband? What do I need to do so my bosses can respect me more? What do I need to do so I can give my family a better quality of life? What do I need to do now that this man has shouted at me? What do I need to do now that this guy has hit my car? The other option is, why am I broke? What have you done? You've externalized it. Once you ask, why am I broke? Your head will go to, is the economy. It's because P2B is not the president. It's because you're in Nigeria. It's because of where you come from. Why is my boss always shouting at me? It's because he doesn't like me. But he's not shouting at you because he doesn't like you. He's shouting at you because your report is poorly written. Even if he doesn't like you and your report is well written, he will shout at you. When you hear that what you ask is what you get, it speaks to your emotional intelligence. If you ask, what do I need to do to be happier? The answers will come. If you ask, why am I always unhappy? What you will get are the reasons for your unhappiness. And so how you frame circumstances. In the midst of my 7-year-old son breaking my TV, what am I happy about having a 7-year-old son? Would I rather have a TV that is not broken with no son, or have a broken TV with a son? Would I rather have a job with a bad boss, or wake up every morning with nowhere to go? Would I rather have a husband who snores, or a wife who snores, than live with loneliness? Would I rather have a brand new car that is smashed by a rough downfall driver, or not have a car? Would I rather have a noisy neighbor, or live in the streets with no house? And some of the questions as professionals that we must ask ourselves that would help us manage the inevitable pressure that speak to us living in Nigeria and put pressure on our emotions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us do some thumb up for Mr. Ferdinand Ibezim for what he has read out to us in the last 45 minutes. So before we entertain questions, let me just do some recap of what we have heard from the resource person. So he has told us that emotional intelligence is not a skill, it's not a mindset, it's not linked to any profession. It is acquired, so it's a personal trait. Then he asked us a question that we should describe how living in Nigeria today is. A lot of us gave several responses. It's chaotic, it's uncertain, it's frustrating, it's pressure, it's stressful. Then he equally asks us to provide what are the source of the pressure. So it's from family, it's from several expectations, and so on and so forth. So he said the difference in response to pressure is a measure of our emotional intelligence. He gave an example of somebody saying you are a monkey. If that person is a friend, you laugh. But if it comes from somebody else, you say it's an insult. So it's our response to pressure is a measure of our emotional intelligence. Then during the lecture, he defined emotional intelligence as the ability to understand, regulate, and control our emotion, while also controlling the impact of other people's emotion on us. Then he gave an example of a food delay at home and in a restaurant. So if our food is delayed at home, contrary, if the food is delayed in a restaurant, we order for more drinks to wait for the food. So that's our response to that delay. So for us to manage emotion, he advised that we must do self-awareness and also self-management. So towards the time of conclusion, he gave 2 quotes, and I'm going to read them out. He said, frustration is the result of pressures that are not well handled. So we become frustrated if we do not handle our pressures well. He also said that absence of resilience is laziness. So distinguished gentlemen, we now want to entertain questions for Mr. Ferdinand Ibezim. So let us put our questions on the Q&A section, or we just do a chat. So let me check the Q&A section if there's any there. Okay, so I have 2 questions, sir. I'll see you there, sir.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes,
Ferdinand.
I'm here. I am here.
There are 2 questions on the question and answer box. The first one is from Kingsley Ogbonuya. Okay, he's asking for modality for registration. So that will be sent. The link will be sent any moment from now. So you are going to have a link to register your attendance at this webinar. Then the next one is from Anedi Okpo. How do you manage a toxic boss who is an FCA? FCA means a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, but talks you down on everything, makes you feel unqualified for anything good. So let me repeat the question, sir. It's from Anedi Okpo. How do you manage a toxic boss who is a fellow of ICAN, but talks you down on everything and makes you feel unqualified for anything good? So that's the only question we have for now, sir. Maybe you need to respond to that, sir.
Okay, the first thing you need to do is, first of all, change your labeling of your boss. You've already labeled the person toxic. So what do you expect from somebody who is toxic? It is your expectations that are being fulfilled. You've labeled somebody toxic. What is toxicity? Poisonous. So that's the only way the person can react to you, because that is your expectation. That is your emotional attraction. Because you have a choice, you can resign from that place. But you can't have a boss, a platform that provides you with the resources with which you make a living, and you describe such person as being toxic. Now, how do you possibly think that you have emotional stability and perform well in that kind of environment? Because the worst part of what emotional intelligence tells you is that the worst thing to complain about is something you can change. You either love what you do or you do what you love. Now, the reality of living in Nigeria is that we are compelled to love what we do, because not everybody can pursue their passion and pay their bills pursuing their passion, which is what doing what you love is. So the first thing you need to do is to ask yourself, what does toxicity mean to me? Is it when I don't do a perfect job and it tells me my job is not perfect? Is that the problem? Or is it how he tells me? Very few people are as malicious as we think. I don't know how many bosses that you deliver consistently very good work, deliver top-notch assignments to, and they are still toxic towards you. So start with self-awareness. Where do I need to improve in this relationship? Why is this person appearing to be toxic towards me? What can I do that will change that kind of relationship? That's where it has to start from. And then you also apply a social awareness. Are there circumstances around this person's training and upbringing that is probably causing him to act that way? Is it possible that he has not been trained well enough in terms of leadership, even though he's an FCA? Is it possible that he also grew up in an environment where the only way to give feedback was to talk down on people? Now, if that is his history, are you going to blame him for his history? No. It is your responsibility to make your boss like you. It is not your boss's responsibility to like you. That's emotional intelligence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your response. So the last question from Intrapersonal. How do you handle the supervisors that feels inferior?
Now, again, that is labeling. You see, these are two extreme questions now. The first person says, my boss is too bossy. It makes me feel like I'm a nobody. Now, you are now asking, how do you handle the supervisor that feels inferior? Maybe because that person is pandering to you a lot, you now think that they have inferiority complex. Again, that is labeling. What are the things that this person, does that has created that impression that you have of them? Start from there. Why do I think they're inferior? How does that affect my relationship with them? So you think it's because you're dressing very well, that's why the person is inferior. You think because you're a chartered accountant, person is a chartered accountant, that's why he's inferior. And that's your interpretation. Is it possible that you're wrong? And again, it boils down to the fact that labeling people is the foundation for every relationship issues, whether it's at work or at home or on the streets. Take away the label, focus on the actions. What does it do that makes you think that this person is inferior? Is it the way the person dresses, or the way the person talks, or the way the person handles assignments? Start from there. And again, ask yourself, what do I need to do to relate with this supervisor of mine, despite this my labeling of them, so that I can achieve my purpose in this organization? But start from taking away that label. Those are the kind of right words to use when you're describing people. Toxic, inferior, wicked. Those are not the kind of right words to use when you want to build a relationship with other people. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you very much, sir, for your words of advice, for your lectures. You can see a lot of thumb up from over 500 participants who are listening to you. So on behalf of the first president of our institute and the chairman of the Young Accountant Development Committee, we thank you very much for being part of this webinar. So we shall relate with you all the best, sir. Thank you very much for coming around. So distinguished gentlemen, we want to move to the second paper for today. The resource person has been with us all along, waiting to take our turn. So the second topic for this webinar is gender inequality in the Nigerian political system, need for increased training for the female accountants. So the resource person is a female accountant and also the current Accountant General of Cross River States. So before I hand over the microphone to her, the beat to her, let me just read a brief profile of Dr. Mrs. Glory Effiong. She's a highly accomplished financial expert, humanitarian, and public administrator. He's currently serving as the Accountant General of Cross River State with a career spanning decade in accounting, finance, and public service. She has distinguished herself as a leader committed to fiscal responsibility, transparency, and community development. She was born into a humble background. Her journey is a testament to perseverance, excellence, and an unwavering commitment to academic and professional growth. She pursued her education with determination, earning a doctorate degree in accounting, solidifying her expertise in financial management and governance. She's also a chartered accountant, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, a fellow of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, a fellow of Nigerian Statistician Association, registered member of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. Our specialization in forensic accounting further underscores our proficiency in financial auditing, fraud detection, and risk management. Dr. Glory's career has been marked by a deep commitment to professionalism, accountability, and excellence in public finance. As the Accountant General of Cross River State, she plays a critical role in ensuring the prudent management of the state resources, overseeing financial planning, budget implementation, and fiscal policies that drive economic stability and growth. Her expertise in forensic auditing has been instrumental in strengthening financial governance, promoting transparency, and curbing financial malpractices in public sector. Her leadership extends beyond financial management. She is a mentor and role model to aspiring professionals, particularly women in finance and governance. She has championed initiatives aimed at empowering women and youth through financial literacy, entrepreneurship programs, and capacity building workshops. Dr. Glory is a passionate humanitarian and development advocate. Her compassion and commitment to social impact have earned her the title of Humanitarian Ambassador, reflecting her dedication to uplifting marginalized communities. She has supported various charitable causes, including education sponsorships, healthcare initiatives, poverty alleviation programs. Her outstanding contributions to both our profession and humanitarian work have been recognized globally. Among her numerous accolades, she was recently honored as a polio ambassador by the Rotary Club of Hilltop, Calabar, acknowledging her contributions to fight against polio and public health advocacy. She was conferred with a distinction award by the Nigerian Organization for Youth Advancement, celebrating her role in youth empowerment and national development. She was the most outstanding civil servant of the year 2024, Kingdom Lover Personality Award by the Gold City Gospel, Ministry International Award of Recognition by ICAN Southern Zonal District, Distinguished Excellence Award in Public Financial Management and Accountability by International Organization for Human Rights Development and Environment, South-South Zone, Certificate of Integrity, Stewardship Service Ambassador by the Center for Peace and Self-Values Orientation. Dr. Glory is not only a leader in finance and humanitarian service, but also a devoted family woman. She's happily married and blessed with a thriving family, balancing her professional responsibility with her personal commitments. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to hand over the beat to Dr. Mrs. Glory Effiong, the Accountant General of Cross River State, take us on the topic, gender inequality in the Nigerian political system, the need for increased training for the female accountants. Over to you, Doctor. You need to unmute, ma. Please unmute.
Sorry, I didn't notice I was still muted. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ICAN officials and those that organized this webinar. I want to apologize because you're going to hear some intermittent noise around. I'm practically representing His Excellency today in a function, but I had to step outside the premises to see how I can get this done. I hope we'll have a good session. I appreciate Professor, I call him Professor Ferdinand for that presentation earlier. On this case, the case for inclusion, the inclusion of which gender, the female gender, gender inequality in Nigerian political system, the imperative for enhanced capacity building of female accountants as a fiscal governance strategy. I say it's a fiscal strategy because let opportunity meet you already prepared. Yeah, there's practically no time for anyone, but you can create time for what is important to you. I've, over the years, tried to do that for myself, and I saw the results, and I'm seeing it. I have listened to everyone. I want us to please give me a little attention, undivided attention, so that we can discuss alongside. A nation that silences half of its mind cannot think its way forward. That's the practical situation of Nigeria. We have about 49% of the Nigerians' population as female, a near equal demographic base. But in the political arena, we have less than 6%, less than 6%. We have less than 6% female representation in elected offices at both federal and state levels. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, fellow professionals, I'm not merely speaking as an accountant general, but as a witness to the paradox that has defined Nigerian governance for too long. A nation extraordinarily rich in professional female talent, yet structurally engineered to suppress that talent the moment it dares to become political. What I present today is not a lament. It is a case technically grounded, evidence-driven, and politically urgent that gender exclusion in Nigeria's political system is not simply unjust. At its core, it is fiscally catastrophic. There's an event going on now at the International Conference Center harboring the Global African Women Sustainability Project. We see women all over Africa. The African Union are here and impact her. Women are impacting on the solar system creation, on waste to wealth, and yet very few are recognized even now. The gender ledger, as I said earlier, every accountant understands the ledger. Every discrepancy signals breakdown, and chronic imbalance left unaddressed does not stabilize. It compounds the problem. It compounds the decision that is supposed to be made, that is supposed to be clear. Apply this particular professional lens to Nigeria's political architecture, and what emerges is a ledger in chronic structural and widening deficits. Like I mentioned to us earlier, the female, we are about 49% of Nigeria's population. But in the elected representation, we have less than 6% of the female folk in elected position across Nigeria. The gender governance gap is costing Nigeria its most underutilized professional resource. These figures are not statistics to recite and move past. They are fiscal distress signals. When governance system exclude qualified professionals on the basis of gender. The consequences are material and measurable across every stage of the budget cycle. Budget priorities are encoded with limited perspectives. Social infrastructure such as healthcare, nutrition, education is systematically underfunded. Oversight mechanisms atrophy and fiscal leakages expand into the institutional vacuum created by weakened accountability structures. I want to encourage all of us, the female accountants, professionals, those intending to be accountants, to please encourage yourself. You may not have a position today, but when you are prepared, it will come beckoning on you. I had disappointment, not that I lobbied for it, but I didn't know the world was watching at what I was doing. And recommendations were made from people I don't even know. And here I am today. In public finance management terms, gender exclusion is not a diversity failure. It is a fiscal distortion that degrades every stage of our life, every stage of the budget cycle, every stage of the economy of Nigeria. It affects from formulation through execution to audit and compounds with each successful year of inaction. We are feeling it. Families are feeling it. The scripture says that the woman is a helpmeet, but you know that practically women are running things. In the home, it is a woman. The best is expected of you in the office. You need to manage your temperament. You need to manage your relationship with people. You need to manage your professional ethics alongside the pressure. I thank God that Professor Ferdinand had taken us through this earlier in the day. How do we balance this? With so much pressure from our community, from the society, from your workplace, from those that feel entitled that whatever you are today is through their effort to you. The woman has so much, and I want to tell you that women have to support themselves. Earlier on in life, people have said that it's not possible for women to work with women. But over the years, research has shown that we can work among ourselves. We can push the economy of Nigeria, and we are pushing the various economy of our families. We can do it. The ICAN in us can help us whatever that we can. We can do it through Christ that strengthens us. Don't get discouraged that, oh, you are not recognized. Just keep being consistent, and then a time will come that the people around you will say, oh, we recommend Nkiru to represent us in the House of Rep. We recommend Ekaite to represent us as the chairman of the council. We recommend this person as a councillor, as a supervisory councillor, as a commissioner, as a special advisor at any level. You can do it. Don't be discouraged that, oh, it used to be the men's world. But I want to tell you that inclusion, we are not stopping at anything. We are not stopping at whatever distracts us. There's no distraction in it. In fact, every distraction is a step further. I'm encouraging everyone today. I'm encouraging myself as well that we have not started yet. Let's encourage ourselves. The value proposition, what female accountants bring to governance. I want to be precise here. I am not making a generalized claim that women govern better.
Hello, doctor. Hello, doctor. Hello, ma'am.
I am making specific evidence in financial discipline, regulatory.
Doctor,
are you hearing me? Oh, I'm talking to myself.
Your line is breaking. Can you shut down your camera? So, your line is breaking.
Okay. I should shut it down and come on again.
Yeah, so it will improve the connectivity.
I'm in an international conference center. I think the network is not stable.
It will be better if you shut down your camera, so I just use the audio.
Check where there's network. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Please go ahead, ma. We can hear you. Go ahead, ma.
You can hear me.
Go ahead, ma.
Please, where did you
Yes, ma.
where did you get my information last? I was encouraging everyone that we shouldn't be distracted. Every distraction, anything that seems like a distraction, should be a stepping stone to greater heights, to greater collaboration, to greater understanding of what the political environment ecosystem is. Anyone that has been comfortable exercising authority over time will not just hand it over to you like that, not to deter at all. Don't be distracted. You are a strong woman. You are a strong being created in the image of God. As I was saying, the Nigerian political economy suffers well-documented pathologies like institutionalized budget padding, procurement irregularities, draining hundreds of billions annually. This aspect of ours is not just restricted to our country. There's no country in the world that corruption is not founded. But science and research has shown that women are more conscious, are more intentional of doing the right thing, because the woman will think of what will happen to her and the embarrassment that it will cause her. The female accountants specifically brings 3 demonstrated governance advantages that international evidence consistently validates. We bring greater risk aversion in fiscal decision making. Research across regulatory environments demonstrates higher sensitivity to downside risks and preference for fiscal sustainability over short-term political visibility. I guess we understand this, that the woman, it has shown that the woman takes greater risk aversion in fiscal decision making. We consider both sides of the coin before we take a decision. Experimentally, it has shown that the conviction of women over the years is lower than the rate that men have been convicted for corruption and others. We are careful most times, and they will tell you that woman is quite difficult. She's too meticulous. She wants everything very perfect. Yes, that is how God made us to be. And that's why after creation, God rested, because he knew that this problem has been solved by creating that woman to handle those affairs. It has been internationally proven that higher ethical compliance is noticed among women. The World Bank has confirmed that. Transparency International, if you check their website, you'll see it. And African governance studies consistently find lower rates of procedural non-compliance and corruption involvement among women in fiscal authority. This should make you brand yourself with a clean slate that you can stand any contest with any man, anywhere. The intelligence that God has given to a woman cannot be underrated. God has blessed us with great intuitive power that you can see an insight of a situation and diagnose before a man. That's the gift that God gave to us. And we are not relinquishing it to any being. It is also scientifically proven that long-term investment orientation is mostly managed by women. Globally, long-term investment orientation is properly managed by women. Prioritizing human capital expenditure in healthcare, education, and nutrition, and generating the highest social return on public investment. I say this because The world is watching. And the Bible says that we are encamped around by great witnesses. People are waiting to see where you're going to make a mistake. And this woman is always prepared for it. That's the thing that God created us for. When female accountants enter governance, they bring the discipline of our accounting practice into the legislature, into policy making, into the decisions that will affect both the present and the future of any society, of any environment. I say any environment because sometimes you are sent as an ambassador outside the country and you're going to meet with people that you've never known. You need to learn a language, you need to learn their culture, you need to learn a lot. And it takes the grace of a woman to permeate through those hurdles. The political intelligence gap. Why competence alone is not sufficient? Despite all that I've read, despite these clear evidence-based values, female accountants remain almost entirely absent from Nigeria's political leadership. I want to encourage all of us in our various corner that we should encourage one another to be seen. Anyone that you know has the leadership quality, whose integrity you can defend, let's come out for leadership role. Practically in Nigeria now, people are vying for House of Reps, senators, and governorship and other opportunities. Please don't lag behind. We will support you. We'll support those that come out for political leadership. It's a commitment by us. The instinctive response is to attribute this to discrimination. This is real, but we must confront it. There are more complete explanation for this. It is structural. Let me precisely, it is not a prerequisite that you say, okay, because last time you were not allowed, this time you'll not try it. Keep trying and you get it. There is a widening critical and systematically unaddressed gap between professional competence and political effectiveness. Technical expertise, however deep, does not automatically translate into political power. That you are the best in accounting, you are the best in financial management doesn't make you a political power until you are voted in, until they cast a vote on you. And I want to say that from the community that you come from, I think people can vote for you. Let's harness our social assets, our social relationship, and get things done. The Nigerian political environment demands not only the ability to analyze systems, but the capacity to change them, to build coalitions, to command constituencies, navigate patronage networks, and exercise influence within structures not designed with professional merit in mind. I named this the political intelligence gap, and it is the principal structural obstacle between female accountants' extraordinary competence and their legitimate place in governance. Get your seat. Nobody will hand over the seat to you. Present yourself, and the seat will be vacant for you to sit on. The anatomy of the barrier. The barriers are interlocking and mutually reinforcing. The prohibitive financial cost of political participation. For a state of assembly campaign frequently requires tens of millions of naira. You can get this through your social networks. When you come for ICAN meeting, don't just attend the meeting and walk away. We have people that are entrepreneurs. We have people that are businessmen. Interact with them. Build a relationship. And these people can sponsor your election tomorrow. Systematically exclude professionals whose pathway to public service runs through merit rather than inherited political capital. We have a strange godfatherism. We can do that. If you take the population of accountants in the country and people that we have impacted on from our various enterprises, from our various organizations. You build it together. You have a coalition that can speak for you, people that can vote for you, people that can comment on your social network. Some of us operate without even a social handle, and it's not the best. You don't want to be seen because accounting profession says don't place a big billboard on your practice. But your practice, you are interfacing with humans every day. That humanitarian impact can propel you to a height that you least expect. And so encourage us, don't restrict yourself to just professional practice. Expand your horizon to relating even in church. Speak out, don't just see a thing and keep quiet. Say something when you see something. If you don't say a word, nobody will look at your direction. No matter how much that you know, no matter how well you are connected, if you don't say a thing, no one will hear you. Please, let's learn to say a thing. I will look at that it is not a failure on the female accountant. It is a failure of our ecosystem, professional, institutional, and political. We need to prepare, support, and sponsor ourselves. As it is a failure, we must both have the responsibility and capacity to correct these errors. The world is looking at us. The men have tried and people are complaining. Let the women arise. Let us take up this mantle and let us tell people that we can do it. Where the men fail, we can do better. If your sister didn't do well yesterday, it doesn't mean that you cannot do better than she did. The strategic framework on closing this gap has to be a deliberate attempt. It has to be a deliberate investment. We have to invest our time. We have to invest our talent. We have to invest our God-given potentials. I propose a 3-pillar capacity building framework, each pillar addressing a distinct dimension of the political intelligence gap. Pillar 1 is micro-physical and political architecture fluency. Female accountants, we must evolve from financial analysts within governance into fiscal policy architects who shape the priorities that budget reflects. This demands literacy in how monetary policy transmission mechanism interacts with fiscal consolidation strategies and manifests in state level revenue allocation. And we need to have the mastery of gender responsive budgeting, the systematic methodology that disaggregates fiscal impacts by gender and is increasingly mandated by international development partners, and the capacity to trace a budget line item to a measurable human development outcome. In politics, numbers must do more than balance. They must build. Numbers must build. Everybody, investors, look at numbers, and we are very good at numbers. We can use the few numbers and geometrically impact on our demographic exposures and get the results. Don't lag behind again. Pillar 2, political finance and regulatory mastery. The Electoral Act 2022 establishes campaign expenditure ceilings. INEC disclosure requirements mandate transparency in campaign financing. Party structures create governance frameworks routinely circumvented. Female accountants, we possess a profound advantage here. But if we deliberately equip to deploy our expatriate in this content, a candidate who runs a fully transparent, fully compliant campaign does not merely follow rules. She establishes a governance standard Her campaign itself becomes a demonstration of the fiscal culture she brings to office. And pillar 3 on this, closing the gap on deliberate investment of the female fold is strategic leadership and coalition architecture. Strategic leadership and coalition architecture. Politics is ultimately not about knowledge. It is about converting knowledge into power, converting what you know into getting people to understand what you know and see the vision and see the light ahead where others have not seen. You can interpret figures, you can interpret the indices that impact on our economy, and you can use it to advise your electorate. It is converting this power into policy. Female accountants, we have to be trained and retrained in interest-based negotiation at the level of legislative chambers and party structures, in communicating fiscal expertise in the language of constituents who judge their representative by the way they live, the reality of service delivery, and in building coalitions across ethnic, religion, regional, and political divides. This is where competence becomes impact. Whatever you know how to do it, you know the best way to do it, and no one can take that knowledge from you. Whatever you know, you know. Whatever you don't know, you can learn and improve on it and do better. I encourage every one of us. It's not a rhetoric discourse without institutional action. It is an intentional thing that forms and can reduce the fiscal waste into a fiscal wealth. Let's collaborate together. Let's come together and share the knowledge that we have and share the statistics that we have. And what will follow next are concrete, actor-specific mandates with the force of professional obligation and national urgency. Have stated here that ICAN, ANAN, and other affiliated professional bodies, both accounting, engineering, economics, every professionally inclined woman we have to establish structured political mentorship programs, formal sponsorship relationships, not networking events, where senior fellows commit time, capital, and political networks to supporting female members' entry into governance and integrate leadership and political finance into mandatory continuous program framework. I want to say this, that over the years, we've had discouragement from some of our colleagues. Sometimes you meet some of our colleagues, they will tell you, Madam, I will not be able to help you there. This political something, I cannot say. That person knows that you have a capacity more than him. Don't sit and wait for his acceptance. Move, and the force and the grace of God behind you will get you through all barriers. We've been celebrating International Women for years. We did breaking barriers, inclusiveness, and all of that. And this year we thought about giving and the act of promotion. When you don't give yourself to a thing, you won't have that reception. Let's give our heart, let's give our time, let's give our talent, a little of it to political activities, and you will be recognized. The National Assembly must translate the 35% affirmative action commitment in the national gender policy into binding electoral law with enforceable consequences. We cannot get this done when we are behind. We can get this done when we are involved, actively involved. I commend the women that went for this City Boy convention in Benin last week. We saw the women. We came out. Women went out there. Women supporting women. If they did not go out, they wouldn't have known that women can come out in such massive numbers. Let's get ourselves involved. Because when we are there in the National Assembly, we will be able to coordinate and get a binding electoral law and get it enforceable with consequences. We need to get party deregistration provisions for systematic non-compliance. Any party that wouldn't comply to the 35% inclusiveness, when we are there, we'll be able to get this properly embodied and embedded in our constitution. A dedicated political finance institute must be established at the intersection of accounting and governance, providing structured programs in political leadership, legislative procedure, fiscal policy advocacy, and constituency engagement. The institutional pipeline that closes the political intelligence gap at a scale. We cannot be reduced to nothing less when we are actively involved. State governors and the federal executive will have to enforce gender parity in appointments. I give it to my governor, Senator Prince Bassey Tutu. In his appointment, he has over 40% female appointees. Check out the number of commissioners. Check out the number of permanent secretaries that are in appointments. I wouldn't have been here if Senator Prince Bassey Tutu did not bring me to the fore. I encourage state governors to do the same, and the federal executive to accommodate more women in appointment to fiscal governance position. It will not just be a symbolic quota filling, but a deliberate deployment of the professional capacity these roles demand, and the nation urgently needs us. A Nigeria in which female accountants govern is a Nigeria in which the books are balanced, the resources are protected, the people are served, and the future is secured, not aspiration, but a documented governance dividends of inclusive fiscal leadership. Auditing the future, a call to transformational action. As accountants, we have been trained and retrained, and we continue to get trained. We need to read, we need to go online, read everything that comes across you. Read systems with discipline, clarity to identify imbalances, trace root causes, and recommend corrections that restore the integrity of the whole. That is what we stand for. I have applied that discipline to Nigeria's governance system. The imbalance is structural and chronic. The root cause is a systematic exclusion of a professional cohort whose expertise is directly responsive to the system's most critical failures. The correction is available, evidence supported, and actionable. What remains is a will. Swan, we have the will. Let's move out from our hideout. Let's come out. Let's bring out the will, the strength, that the resilience that God has given us, and make it institutional, and go political, and get it personal. The governance literature is unambiguous. Systems that integrate women into fiscal leadership at scale are more transparent, more accountable, more efficient, and more resilient under stress. They build institutions that outlast the individuals who inhabit them, because these institutions are designed around rules and standards rather than relationships and discretion. Nigeria's governance architecture has too long been defined by corrosive substitution of political loyalty for professional competence. Every year, this persists. The fiscal cost compounds in wasted resources, in development deferred, in credibility forfeited before our people and the world. I speak to female accountants across Nigeria directly and globally for expertise in political, the skills you deploy every day in managing your home, in managing your community, managing your family, in managing public resources, enforcing compliance, ensuring transparency, driving accountability are precisely the skills Nigeria's governance architecture must desperately need. We need to present this to our people. We need to present that we can do it. Do not wait for an invitation. The speech is the invitation. This moment is the mandate. Build political intelligence around yourself. Be conscious about what is happening. Your constituency. Step forward. Present yourself with the rigor of the profession and the conviction of those who know exactly what the cause of continued absence will be. Please, let's balance the ledger, strengthen the system, build a better Nigeria. From me, from you, from all of us, let's hold our hands together as female professionals in whatever area, wherever you find yourself, build the network. Don't just introduce yourself and run away. Be resilient enough to withstand whatever. I said every distraction is a step to greatness. Every distraction will propel you to a greater recognition. Present yourself. It is a mandate. It's a God-given mandate. Let's do it. Nobody will give us on a platter of gold. Nobody will present it to you. Present what you have, your ability. Be convinced that you can do it. For the ICAN in us, women of integrity, we can do it. The women and the men, the young, the youth will support you when you present yourself. Where you don't present yourself for leadership, you will just be wasting and languishing and lamenting, whereas you should be heard, you should be seen. I encourage everyone listening to me. You have a sister somewhere that is doing well, encourage her. You have a sister, a mother somewhere, encourage. You have an aunt, a niece, encourage everyone. Let's come up together. Yeah, I'm not disputing the fact that men have been encouraging. Some men, a handful, encourage the women. But I want the men to come out and encourage us and pull us, give us a helping hand. And we are here to turn the world around positively. Thank you so very much for the opportunity given me to share this with us. This gap can be closed. A step forward will close the gap. A step backward will widen the gap. So let's move forward together and close this gap of inequality, of gender exclusion, and get inclusively included. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. More for Dr. Mrs. Gloritoni Effiong, FCA. This is a well thought out and well delivered paper. I've looked at the question and answer session. Most of the things there are just commendation. So, madam, we have done very well. You have done very well. But before we move on to the last paper, let me just do a recap of some of the things you have told us. You started by giving us some very worrisome statistics. You said
Yes,
49%, yes, the 49% of Nigeria's population is female, they are female. But as at date, less than 6% are in elected position at all levels. So we have underutilization of about 43% available resource for women that are not currently being utilized. So you're advising women to come out for political leadership role. Then in the area of a fund, so there's this saying that your network will determine your net worth. So women are advised to build their network so that they have a very good net worth. They are frequently giving advice to professional institute like ICAN that we should have a structured political mentorship program. So ICAN and ANAN should have structured political mentorship program. They also advise. So you also advise that there should be implementation of the 35% affirmation for female gender. Then there should be gender equality in female appointments. And you give an example of your states where you have this being operated. So women are advised to be seen and be heard so that people will take them very seriously. So the thing, ladies and gentlemen, let us give more thumb up for Dr. Mrs. Glory Tony F. Young, FCA, for a beautiful and well thought out delivery. We thank you very much, ma, for coming around. So God bless you, ma. So our time is fast spent. Yes, we want to move on to the last paper for today. Fumi, is Dr. Greg around? Okay, he's there. My good friend is there. So the thing, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the last paper for today. Our time is fast spent. So the last paper for today is titled Beyond the Ledger: How Accountants Can Redefine Public Leadership. So this paper will be taken by my brother and my friend, a fellow of our institute, the immediate past chairman of Anambra State Internal Revenue Service. So Dr. Greg Ugochukwu Ezelo, FCA, FCTI, SIRM, PhD. So Greg has a degree in industrial mathematics from the University of Benin, Benin City, a master's degree in systems engineering from the University of Lagos. He also has a diploma in law from the Lagos State University and a doctorate degree in business and technology management, specializing in computer and information security from the North Central University, Arizona in USA. He has a number of other professional certifications in accounting, auditing, and information technology. These include Fellow of our Great Institute, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, CISA, a Certified Information Systems Auditor, Certified in Risk and Information System Control, Certified Ethical Hacker, Certified in Computer Hacking and Forensic Investigation, Certified Security Analyst, ISO 27001, LA Certification, Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Transition of Nigeria, Certified IT Practitioner of the Computer Decision Council of Nigeria. Over the last 25 years, Dr. Ezelo has been practicing as an international consultant in financial services, corporate planning, computers and network security systems audit, forensic investigation, public finance management, and audit. He's an IFEMIS and ICIFMIS expert. Dr. Ezelo consulted for the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Financial Institution Training Center, and a few multilateral institutions, including the World Bank, the European Union, USAID, and the British Department for International Development, DFID, on information technology, governance, public finance management, and IFEMIS and SIFMIS. He is the founder and present CEO of Signal House Consulting Limited, as well as Forensic and Digital Support System, a forensic audit and investigation firm in Nigeria. He is also the founder of a number of offshore companies, including Triple G, Foyeja A, tourist company operating in Kigali, Rwanda, and Baju, Dakar, the Gambia, respectively. Dr. Ezelo was a technical advisor to the Public Account Committee of both the 9th and the 10th House of Representatives National Assembly. He was also a member of the Transition Committee of the Mr. Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, and now the immediate past chairman of the Anambra Internal Revenue Service, AIRS, Awka, Anambra State. He currently lectures at the Business School of Nnamdi Azikiwe University as an adjunct lecturer. He was a recipient of the prestigious Merit Award of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN, under the members category conferred on him on May 6, 2023. Recently, he received an award of excellence in IGR practice by Nnamdi Azikiwe University and received an award of the most performing Internal Revenue Service chairman in the Southeast, conferred on him by the Officials Nigeria magazine. Dr. Greg Ezelo is happily married with children and plays tennis at leisure times. He was also recently honored with the ambassador of Nigeria Students' Parliament. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me hand over the scene to Dr. Greg Ezelo, FCA, FCTI, SIRM, PhD, to take the topic beyond the ledger, how accountants can redefine public leadership. So you are welcome on stage, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother and friend Balogu. It's been a long time, and I want to say it's good to be back after close to 3 years of out of circulation. And also to welcome our, I hope everyone can hear me. Am I being heard?
You are loud and clear, sir. You are loud and clear.
Very good, very good. So, my dear professional colleagues who are young, not only young at heart, but young physically to push from where we are about to give way. So, I want to also give kudos to the last presenter before me, who has succinctly canvassed for all inclusion of women, especially women accountants. And before I forget, I must recommend you to one of an organs that was founded by one of our own young accountants. And being a woman too, and a lady, is also a young accountant. She found a foundation called OF. And OF is catering for the interest of women, not just particularly women accountants, but women all over the world. OF for full meaning is Obele Women Empowerment Foundation. And some financial institutions have found kind hearts with this foundation. So what I'm also asking you to do is to Google it, and you find what they do, and also see that leadership is purely beyond the ledger. She is a woman accountant, chartered accountant, chartered taxation practitioner, and now found herself in public service. And she always brags and confesses to me that within 2 years of knowing me, that she has paid off in leadership more than 10 years ahead of what she was scanning for. So that's just by the way of information for you. So with that, I want to thank all the previous presenters and of course, ask you to just listen. My own would be more of sharing experiences that I've had 2.5 years of being in public service from private sector. And you see my slides? Are you seeing my slides?
Very visible. We can see it.
Okay.
It's visible,
good.
sir.
Okay, very good. So just want to put this phone on, you know how these phones ring on the side on unreachable mode. Okay, good. Now, if you watch, I try to tweet this title, Accountants as Catalyst for Redefining Public Leadership. Accountants as Catalyst for Redefining Public Leadership. And I try to set up an agenda before we begin. Then from record keeping to strategic leadership, that's where we are ending. Driving transparency and public trust, that's the main myth of the day. Combating corruption, ethical foundations of leadership, then enabling data-driven leadership. And of course, I'm always intoxicated by the fact that I deal with numbers on a daily basis. Also, given the background that I studied numbers by way of mathematics, and numerology has done a lot of work in my life. So having accounting as an embellishing factor is also a spike on it. So, and then we're also going to look at the future of the young accountants. How do you crystallize your future? We also will be looking at seeing what conclusions and takeaway before we call it a day. Okay? Happy to note that this is the last paper, so nobody will be putting pressure, except that those of you who are good enough to, you're also at your homes or offices and all of that, so no much pressure on this. Now, before we begin, something occurred to me. This ICAN logo, I don't know how many of you who have taken time to look at it and see what it speaks. And it speaks accuracy and integrity. Accuracy and integrity. And this clearly speaks to leadership. If you haven't noted that, take note. That these are the two hammers you must use when you find yourself in public space. Accuracy and integrity. If you miss that, then from day one, you have missed it. Now, I want us to look at I have some thoughts on leadership. And then before we can get into the meat.
Let me give you mine.
Some people at the background talking, I don't know if you can handle that. So some thoughts on leadership. Now, from John Maxwell, he says that leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. You cannot say you're a leader except empowered others. And then here I am sitting down telling you here behind the screen that I have a reference immediately.
Well done.
I have a reference on OF already, who's continue to confess that 2 years down the line, she has become a multiple leader of women. And these women are likely to be leaders as well. And she's taking them beyond bounds, beyond boundaries. Imagine a foundation that is just barely 1 year old. It's attracting attention from banks, international donors, and all of that. That is the essence of empowering others to become leaders. Okay? And that is not far-fetched if you go to the website. Then, the most powerful leadership tool you have in your own is your own personal example. I've given you one already down the line. That is the most powerful tool you can boast of about leadership, just by John Wooden. The next one says that a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John C. Maxwell. Take it home. If you don't know the way, others will fail with you because you're not leading. The next one says that the task of the leader is to get people from where they are not, from where they are to where they have not been. Henry Kissinger. So you have a group of people sitting somewhere, but you got to take them from where they are to where they have not been. Again, I will have examples to give you in this instance when we proceed. Now, leadership is a relationship that creates change, but it's a positive change, not a negative one. If your leadership has not created a positive change, forget it. Again, I get back to my my previous assignment, courtesy, and at the very benevolence of Mr. Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, having been from the executive director to chairman for the first tenure. The change I have created hasn't been a positive one. Tells me that I led well. And what was that change? When I took the saddles, the fortunes of revenue of my state was below the ebb. I made it at 2 billion. By the time I was leaving, it was now 5 billion a month. And of course, the last 2 months in the year was an average of 6 billion. And I look back to what I did. I found that those who were with me have even become leaders before my exit. Because when I had a last day discussion with all my unit leaders and all of that, it was a kind of memory lane. And some people were saying, are you truly living this and that? And some confessed that their position in life today has also changed. Then from Peter Drucker, a well-known management thought leader, says that effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leaders is defined by results and not attributes. Again, I will, if you want to verify this, from experiences and examples, I would like you to go and Google, or not Googling, go to ChatGPT if you have it. If you don't have it, download it. ChatGPT. And ask ChatGPT, who is Dr. Greg Ezelo? And then take it to the meta-analysis of it will give to you. And then you can confirm whether leaders are actually defined by plenty talks or by results they attain. Next, true leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders that I've given to you. Because even today, any day I land at Anambra, I got to see all of them. Chairman, our leader, chairman, our leader, chairman, our leader. Which political party are you? I hope you are still, maybe you have to get ready to go to, we are going to, I said, oh God, wait. I'm not yet a politician. Okay? So you don't just create followers, but you create leaders. Okay? Then the dimensions of leadership is captured in what I call, or what is called LMX theory, which makes the dyadic relationship between leaders and followers the focal point of the leadership process. So the image on the right describes two sort of followers and leader. They are leaders, they are followers we call the in-group, and those we call the out-group. The out-group are not ready to become leaders because in your organizations, not just public sector, their mind is fixated on that contract of 8 to 5. They quit and go. And then, of course, those who are potential leaders, the in-group leaders, are those who look up to their leader to also become leaders. I will do more expansion on this in a book I'm about to launch later in the year. And I will want all of you to have a copy of that when the time comes. Now, but can you really characterize yourself as a leader? And charismatic one for that matter. And I want to give you some of these features that if you can characterize yourself, then you know that you are moving from record keeping to strategic leadership. The first one is, do you possess strong communication and storytelling skill? That is to say, can you be vivid in talking to people, your team? Can you be imaginative? Can you use narratives to share your values and the future of your goals? If you can do this, then you are a potential charismatic leader, because it means you can see the future and you can tell the story that is supposed to be told 5 to 10 years ago today. And also will tell you, give some examples from what I have done. And this is the area that is coming next. Confidence and conviction. Do you inspire trust and confidence on your teams? Can your team look up to you and smile and say, look, no other way to go other than this direction of our leader? In that way, they also learn how to lead with you. Visionary. You have to make yourself an adept. Now, there's a tool I normally use here. I call it daydreaming. And some of you will know it, daydreaming effect. You sit down and begin to envision, we call it utopic, but it might not be. Because let me tell you that your mind is always your workshop. Your mind is the workshop of creativity. And let me tell you also that there's nothing you create in your mind that cannot materialize on this planet. But there are two provisions. Two provisions. One is that you possess the necessary skill, knowledge, and qualification to bring it to materiality. Two, you are not a selfish person. You are rather a generous person. You are charitable. Because they said in the Bible that God gives a cheerful giver. God gives back to a cheerful giver. So if you're not a cheerful giver, God will not make it work. If you like, pray 1 million times a day. If you like, dream 10 million times a day, it will not work. So these two necessary qualifications are important for you to become an adept as a visionary leader. So bear that in mind. And I can tell you, just like Jesus said in the Bible too, said that, look, if you have faith, you can say that mountain to be removed and plunged into the ocean and it will happen. Jesus is just telling you, was just telling you that you have the power to accomplish those things that people think is unaccomplishable. You have the power. And the only way you can design that to happen is in your mind. That's the only way it can happen, not on your textbooks or whatever. No. It's in your mind. Once you design it, daydream it that is happening, then you see that the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God will bring you to that opportunity that will make it happen. Quote me. Then empathy and emotional connection. My friends, you may be a good leader. You may be charismatic in your leadership style, but you must embellish it with emotional intelligence. You must know when those people you are leading are in difficulty. You must know when they have a kind of penury that you need to resolve. You must know, sense around them when they are sick. You must know when they have family issues that is going to impact on their productivity. And then you ameliorate that. That makes you a leader of all times. Risk taking. Again, I will emphasize, you cannot make an accomplishment without taking the risk. Think outside the box, or even under the box. So you're going to be someone who people say, this is a no-go area. You say, no, I must go it. I must go it. And then people think you are joking, and you are there. You are there. So you've taken all the risks. And that is how to know who a leader is. So if you are not ready to take any risk of such, then of course you are just in your fight. Now, driving transparency and public trust. Improvement science is only where to plug this loophole. Again, please note it down. Go and ask ChatGPT or even ordinary Google, what is improvement science? Or just say improvement science in revenue generation in Nigeria. And then you see what it will tell you there. That's just another example I want to give you about what I have done as an experience. And with that, you can drive transparency and public trust. Technology has it all. And I can also beat my chest that in the intervening period I worked, when I got in there, the transport sector being one of the informal, violent environments that people say, don't dare. They kill people, this and that. I say, what kind of killing is that? Can they kill technology? And I designed a technology that, even though it took us some fights, meeting with Okada, meeting with Keke, meeting with buses, meeting with the tipper drivers, to get their buy-in on onboarding on this technology. Today on the streets of Anambra State, if you are walking on the street and you see a Keke, even if it's parked somewhere, just check for a QR code sticker on the screen. Take your phone and go and scan it. And it will give you details of the owner of that Keke and show you his balances on his IGR contribution to the state. Because I tried to design an AI-related design system. When I had a lot of complaints of this and that, I said, no. I need to have a system that if you have a Keke or bus, you come out in the morning, you want to go out, you put your key to start it, to ask you, are you clear on your IGR bill? And the answer is yes, it's okay, go ahead. If it's not, you say, please clear your bill before you move on the street, otherwise your vehicle will be impounded. And I got the system working. And then it works on what a principle of pay as you walk, not pay as you are billed, but pay as you walk. And then, of course, you no longer go to queue at the bank or POS to make your payments. We created wallets, electronic wallets, which must be funded. So on the dot of time you are supposed to make your payment, your account is automatically charged to the state IGR. And 2 days before the due date, it will send you an SMS. Please make your payment in the next 2 days, or else you'll be impounded. And that made life much easier as a leader. So And I'm getting to another one again that I'm going to show you on this information technology. Now, ethical foundations of leadership, and says that let the tone at the top speak. If the tone at the top is not speaking, forget it. And I'll give another example here. If you go to Anambra today and mention the name Okamuta, they will tell you more stories. Because not one clear case. Somebody, a friend of mine, was driving home late evening. I'm passing one local government, and these boys accosted him and said he has flouted one traffic rule, or they can raise all kinds of alibis. And then he said, how much did they say? 5K. He paid. So it now sounded to them like, this guy has money. So they now raised additional issues with him. Now they say he should pay 25K to open whatever gate. And then he remembered. So he called somebody. He didn't have my number. He called somebody to give him my number. The person gave me a number. He called me and said, bros, see what happened. See what happened. I said, where is the place? He told me. I said, okay, can you give the person your phone? He said, no, the person has gone inside the secretariat. I said, okay, can you go to the secretariat? He said, but no, just tell me, I don't care paying. I don't know. I said, you must care for whatever you're paying for. No. Anything you're told to pay for, you must care for it. Don't just say, I don't care. If they say you pay 1 million, will you just pay the one because you have the money? No. You must care. You must be concerned. So I got very furious with him even. So as I was about driving into somebody now came out of the office. I said, okay, please go. He said, what? He said, no, we don't want, just go. I said, go, no problem. So he now called me back. He said, apparently, they heard him asking someone to give him my number. And they said, if this man gets out, no problem, also allow him to go. and the person they were asking to bring to 5K was now allowed to go. And a number of issues like that, just merely hearing that Okamuta is on this matter, they will just vanish. So that is the tone at the top. Because even if we are my own leaders on the field, they get instant dismissal. And that's a signal that such misbehavior is not tolerated at the top. And therefore, it can be tolerated below. Okay? So the story at the top speaks for itself. Then enabling data-driven leadership. And here, I say that while accountants give meaning to data, yes, the job of an accountant is totally to assemble, pick up data wherever it is, and that's the essence of forensic accounting. If you remember, those of you who attended that course, the program of ICAN-ngr, which simply says that forensic accounting is using data to resolve allegations of fraud or infraction from beginning to the end. Using data to resolve allegations of fraud or infractions from beginning to end. And once the accountant have done this, data now becomes meaningful to the leader. It now provides the leader direction and focus. So while you are in offices, while you are aspiring to become a leader, while you are dealing with issues of all kinds, and there's no data, you can't have a direction. You can't have a focus. So you have to bear this in mind. And I made use of it quite extensively. Now, to conclude on this pathway Are you inspired by New Horizons? Yes, you must be inspired. I'll now give you another the last example of taking to that path that everybody thinks is hard to go. While I was on the saddle, Anambra State had what you call Anambra Property and Land Use Charge, APLOC. 2011 was when Peter Obi, the then governor, enacted this law. And the law enabled the state to harvest the revenues from property tax. And World Bank has it that you have over 500,000 three-story buildings at Onitsha. You can imagine where you say, pay me 20,000 for each, for 500,000. But guess what? Between 2011 and 2025, this law could not be implemented because of the activities of the non-state actors. They will take you to court, the local government will come in, this will come in, this will come in. I laughed. I studied the law. I studied it, had a firm grip on that law. And I found a formula that was crafted into the law to enable it to work. But all the previous leaders could not interpret it. So having done so, I designed the APLOC harvesting process. Presented it before the council, and they approved it. And I remember the day I was president, one council member told me, he said, look, Chairman, I was a member of the committee that was trying to implement this law, blah, 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 and it didn't work. What are you going to do differently? I said, well, number one, I think it's because of your inability to interpret that law properly. And number two, you haven't done the needful, but sit and watch. And I deployed no other technology than Google Maps. Google Maps. I used it to map all the properties in Anambra State. And I got about 1.4 million properties. Then filtered to urban, the three main urban centers, I've got 553,000, which tallies with World Bank projections. And then we began to cluster them in different zones, and I employed consultants and all of that. And then, as a leader, you must envision your obstacles and resolve them. I knew that local governments will be obstacles. I brought them to a stakeholder meeting. I made them to sign an MOU that when I go into this harvest, you should not come. Because after the harvest, you have a percentage of share to each local government according to the number of buildings found in your place. And we signed, we agreed. Both signed, all of them signed it. And then we went to the streets. And guess what? One local government, one landlord got another local government to go to court. So they sent me a pre-action notice through their lawyer. And I invited their lawyer to my office. After going through, I now put the file where I had that MOU and gave the lawyers to read. When they finished reading it, they packed their bags and files and went away because the case died on arrival. And I can tell you also that a day before I left office, Google in the US gave Anambra State an award for using Google Maps to map Anambra State properties. Out of 4,000 entries, we came number one. The leader behind that is Dr. Greg Ezilo. So this is because I was inspired to explore new horizons. So as we speak now, the harvest from Uplog is getting to 1 billion in about 8 months of implementation. After 13 or 14 years of enacting that law, it's now working. I just pray that those are handed over, we take it. And also let me tell you that even this system has been adopted by Nasarawa State. Nasarawa State has adopted it. It's working there. They already harvesting using Uplog, but no longer Uplog, but well, you can call it Neplog or whatever it is. And last year, when I made a presentation on how I captured the informal sector, the body of chairman, Joint Tax Board, then non-Joint Revenue Board, applauded. And one of the high-ranking members of the board said that Obuefi is not a ranking member of the board, but he is number 1 on informal sector. And it was recorded. So the next one, I ask you, do you have the guts and tools to push beyond doubts? When people doubt you, or when you doubt yourself, muster the courage and the gut to go beyond that. The tools you must have, like I said before, no matter the daydreaming, no matter the prayer, no matter the fasting, no. This is not the days of manna from above. You must have the requisite qualifications and skills. And I put it to you, as they say in law courts. You have ACA now, fantastic. But see that as the springboard. So I can tell you the truth. I had a BSc in mathematics, industrial mathematics. I have a diploma in law. But when I got ICAN, it became the platform for so many to follow. What you have seen read in my profile. It took me to CISA. I cleared CISA. CISA then opened further doors in the area of IT. Then I went the whole hog. And another one is coming. And here I must tell you, don't grow old. Because I don't see myself as growing old. I'm still exploring the universe until nerves and brain stops working. No, there's no end to trying the new horizons. But in a couple of years, you'll hear back from me again. Do you say no when the odds are even against you? I must tell you, I was bombarded left, right, and center. I was one man who had no friends but enemies all over the place. And of course, I said no against all odds. I did, and I succeeded. People will come and say, this man self, does he have an aeroplane in his head? Before we are getting here, he's already there. We say, okay, let's go there. Before getting there, he's already there. I don't know. Let's leave me alone. Then, do you have the right balance of emotional intelligence to lead? I've emphasized this before. You must check yourself, double check, and see whether you have it. If you don't have, cultivate. I don't used to have this emotional intelligence because of my aggression in pursuits, but now I have developed it. So I told you, while you are creating leaders, they may also be leading you in some aspects. I told you how this lady that prouds herself that over 10 years he couldn't, but the moment she met me, and then the platform I gave was for leading, and she has accomplished what she couldn't have done in the last 10 years, or even 10 years to come. And that also reminds me, the same our young accountant is going to launch a book. The book, she called it The Wet Walk. And I'm happy to be a reviewer of the book and then also make commentaries. And some of you who are young accountants will make a good reading for you. Book is I think the launch opens up May 1, and then the full launch will be on 30th of May, somewhere at Colossus in Ikeja. Young accountant like you, who saw no barriers in the horizon, who had the guts and tools to push beyond doubts, and who said no when the odds are against her. Can't you say, why not me? Why not you? And then finally, do you look beyond the limitations of all kinds to do the right thing? My friends and colleagues, one of my bosses used to say that when he wakes up in the morning, he sees as if the entire universe is working against him and he must fight back. I took it from him in this asking the right questions. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is to communicate to the owner of this universe and ask for guidance and support, spiritual support. And I see no other limitations before me, and I move on. So, in moving from record keeping to strategic leadership and empowering yourself and others, answer these questions in affirmative, and then work towards achieving what you propose to achieve. And you can see that people will see you as a magician. Yes. It took a long time though to come, because I'm happy that you are young accountants. Even if you are an old accountant, it doesn't matter when you start. Like I told you now, the word old doesn't apply in my dictionary. And like I said, 2 promises I'm going to make to you, a young accountant, to also inspire you. End of this year, I'm going to launch like about 3 books in one day. And of course, 2 years down the line, you'll hear another side of Dr. Greg Ezelo, which will be an inspiration for you. But that is not an open secret yet. So I want to admonish and encourage you to take this in seriously and then see that leadership is not a science, but an art, and more so in public service. Using the 2 hammers of ICAN, accuracy and integrity. Documents, issues, circumstances before you as a leader. The central point is the truth about it. The next point is data surrounding the issues. I want data being analyzed by the accountant, and it gives you direction. Don't go the other way. Stay by the truth and live by the truth. Be a virtuous person. And always remember that there is a power behind everything you do in this universe. And that's why Apostle Paul said, nothing stands in the way of a man whose heart is virtuous and sacred. Thank you. Many thanks for your listening, gentlemen.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you, Dr. Gregor Zelo. The lecture is highly thought-provoking and very, very inspiring. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me just do some recap of what Dr. Zelo has told us. He started by telling us that the motto of the Institute, accuracy and integrity, are the two armors that we need in a public space. So equally told us that leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others, according to John Maxwell. In the same way, John Maxwell also says a leader must know the way, he must go the way, and must equally show the way. So Dr. Ezelo has told us that to be a good leader, we need strong communication skills. We need to be very confident. There must equally be a good risk taker. In conclusion, he said a leader must be inspired by new horizons. A leader must have the guts and the tools to push beyond doubts. A leader must say no when the odds are against him or her. A leader must have the right emotional intelligence. A leader must look beyond limitations of all kinds to do the right thing. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us give more thumb up to my friend and brother, Dr. Gregor Ezelo, for a beautiful delivery. So I've checked the question and answer box. I've not seen any question for Dr. Ezelo. So we have given him a good pass mark that we have understood all he has been saying to us in the last 45 minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, let us check the chat box for the attendance link, and let us make sure that we complete the attendance so that we can hand the 2 MCP credit units as members of the institute. So with this said, we want to wrap up the program for today. So I'm wrapping up by giving a vote of thanks on behalf of the chairman of the Young Accountant Development Committee, our own governing council member, Dr. Dickness Unjum Oyeminam, FCA, who was unavoidably absent at this webinar. So ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for coming around and wish everybody all the best. Let me call on Technical to give us the ICAN and the national anthem to wrap up this webinar. Thank you all. Technical, the anthems.
Let's go right and found of treasure in triumph.
you all. Do have a nice day.